Hi guys, it's Lawlord here, and unfortunately I haven't quite solved the gameplay problem yet, so unfortunately we once again cannot have gameplay in this video. But I think I'm very close to solving the problem, so you should expect gameplay sometime in the very near future, but in the meantime, I appreciate the patience. But alas, quite a while ago from now I made a video about the historical context of Kingdom Come Deliverance. And after that point, I wasn't actually expecting to make another video about Kingdom Come Deliverance, because the game is over 200 years old. But recently I had an idea, and it's more about historical context. What if I made a video about the Holy Roman Empire itself? I thought it would come extremely helpful in two areas if you're trying to learn about the history of the Roman Empire itself, or you're trying to learn about Kingdom Come Deliverance lore, which itself is real-world history. This video can help and clear up a lot of things on both. And so that is what this video is about. Now, arguably the most important subject relating to the Holy Roman Empire, and definitely the most controversial one, is if the very name is accurate. The French philosopher Voltaire described the Holy Roman Empire as neither holy nor Roman, nor an empire. And this quote has been used as a very common critique of the Holy Roman Empire since, and has recently literally become a meme. But is Voltaire correct in his statement? Is the Holy Roman Empire not wholly Roman nor an empire? The answer to that question is very subjective, so before I give my own personal opinion, I'll tell you the history of where the Holy Roman Empire got its name from. The reason the Holy Roman Empire was called holy was because it was a de jure Catholic empire, and because the Holy Roman Emperor was also known as the King of Rome. And speaking of Rome, which also relates to that last reason, the reason it was called Roman was, again, the Holy Roman Emperor was considered by the Pope himself as the King of Rome, and because the Catholic Church considered the Holy Roman Empire as the only legal successor of the original Roman Empire. And the empire part is obvious. It was a large quantity of territories and states controlled by one head of state. Next, I'll talk about the geography of the Holy Roman Empire, which partly explains the contentions with the Roman and the empire part. At its greatest extent, in the year 1200, the Holy Roman Empire controlled modern-day Germany, the Low Countries, eastern France, Switzerland, Austria, Croatia, northern Italy, the Czech Republic, western Poland, and Kaliningrad, Russia. Except I use the term controlled very lightly. What I really mean is that those were the territories within the Holy Roman Empire. But these territories acted as imperial estates, which were borderline their own countries, because they had extreme amounts of autonomy and direct control over their own jurisdictions, despite being within the borders of the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Emperor had little control over each of these territories himself, and would really work with federal matters, which for the Holy Roman Empire were extremely rare. I like to describe the Holy Roman Empire as feudalism on steroids. Because in feudalism, you have a kingdom that is divided into several fiefdoms. Each of these fiefdoms has their lord, but these lords then answer to their king. The Holy Roman Empire is a bit like that, except instead of several kings of fiefdoms answering to their king, it's several kings and other heads of government answering to their emperor. And this is where the contention for the term empire comes from. Imperial estates did not answer to their emperor directly, not most of the time anyway. Instead, they answered to their kings or other heads of government, and usually they would answer to their emperor. But it's this part that I have to disagree with Voltaire. I still think the Holy Roman Empire can still classify as an empire, because although the people of each estate don't answer to their emperor directly, it is the emperor that does have official rulership over each of these estates. After all, they all were within the borders of the Holy Roman Empire, no matter how autonomous they were. So, in my personal opinion, I do think the Holy Roman Empire can classify as an empire. But where I do agree here with Voltaire is that the Holy Roman Empire is not Roman. Because although the Holy Roman Emperor was legally called the King of the Romans, in reality he was not. Because it was the Pope and the Papal States that had control over the city of Rome, not the Holy Roman Emperor. And a quick fun fact about the geography of the Holy Roman Empire is that the Holy Roman Empire had no permanent capital city, and that the temporary capital cities would be wherever the Holy Roman Emperor was residing at the time. Next, we are going to talk about the government of the Holy Roman Empire, which does not relate to the predicament with its name. So as we know, the Holy Roman Emperor was the head of state. But the Holy Roman Empire also had somewhat of a parliamentary system. This was known as the Imperial Diet. The Imperial Diet was, in very simple terms, an assembly where the imperial estates would gather to negotiate matters. And speaking of the imperial estates, to become the head of an imperial estate depends on what form of government the imperial estate follows. For example, the Kingdom of Bohemia, which is where Kingdom Come Deliverance takes place, is a hereditary monarchy. But what about the Holy Roman Emperor himself? How did he come to power? Well, you see, the Holy Roman Empire as a whole was not a hereditary monarchy, but rather an elective monarchy. In this instance, the Holy Roman Emperor would be elected by the Electoral College, which was made up by 7 prince-electors. And these prince-electors were the heads of government of 7 imperial estates. Those estates being Cologne, Mainz, Trier, Saxony, Brandenburg, Bohemia, and the Electoral Palatine. When the Holy Roman Emperor died, the prince-electors would be summoned to elect a new emperor. And once they elected someone, that someone shortly after would be coronated as emperor by the Pope himself. And once he was officially the Holy Roman Emperor. So now let's talk about the religion of the Holy Roman Empire, which is the source of the holy parts contention. The reason the Holy Roman Empire was called holy was because it was a de jure Catholic empire, and it was also a de facto one until the 16th century. And even past that point, the Holy Roman Emperor himself was always a Roman Catholic. However, the 16th century was the time of the beginning of Church Reformation and Protestantism. And because of how autonomous each of the imperial estates were, each imperial estate had their own opinions and policies when it came to Catholicism and Protestantism, which is why, unlike prior to the 16th century, where pretty much the entire Holy Roman Empire was Catholic, after the 16th century, there were some parts of the Holy Roman Empire that were Catholic and some parts that were Protestant. And this was why Voltaire said that the Holy Roman Empire wasn't holy, because it was not really a Catholic state anymore. But once again, I'm going to have to disagree with Voltaire, because 1, the Catholic Church was still the de jure head church within the Holy Roman Empire, and the Holy Roman Emperor was always a Catholic. I mean, that alone says quite a bit. And 2nd, even if the Holy Roman Empire wasn't as Catholic anymore, it was still an extremely religiously Christian society, just with more variations of denominations. And with that said, we have covered the whole basis of the general information with the Holy Roman Empire. So here's my opinion on it. The Holy Roman Empire was holy and was an empire, it just wasn't Roman. But I understand a lot of people may disagree with that sentiment, and I fully understand why you would. If you have any disagreements or any other opinions or any questions or anything else to add, feel free to leave them in the comments section. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this video helps you either if you're learning about Holy Roman Empire history itself, or if you're trying to learn about Kingdom Come Deliverance lore, which itself is Holy Roman Empire history. But alas, that is the end of today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one.